Hey guys, thanks for joining me to Learn to Play Games. My name is Lance, and today I'm going to teach you how to play Century New World. This is a brand new game by Plan B Games. It is a 2 to 4 player game that takes roughly half an hour to 45 minutes to play, and it is a competitive game, so each player is going to be working against the other players to collect the most points and be the overall winner at the end of the game. In the game itself, each player is going to be playing a settler that's traveling to the new world, and they're going to be placing their settlers around the board, collecting resources, trading resources, and upgrading resources, and then traveling to forts to gain bonus tokens, as well as being able to potentially buy point cards that will give them bonuses throughout the game, some of them, and also giving them points at the end of the game to help them win the game. The player that's able to buy 8 of these first will trigger the end of the game. Players will finish off the turn, and then they'll move into a scoring step where everybody is going to total up all their points, and the player that has the most will be the overall winner at the end of the game. So my thoughts on this one, I had a good time with it. If you are a fan of the Century series, this is going to add some new features as well as some really cool things is that you can actually mix and match the games now. So you can use this with Century Road or Spice Road and some of the other games and actually add some new features and different combinations to the game. So some really cool things with that and something that most games don't do. So I really thought that was a cool feature with it. For those of you that have played some of the older Century Roads or Century games, this is going to have some similarities to those, so you'll be able to jump in and pick it up pretty quickly. There are some new features. There's different tiles now that will be randomized, so it'll add some different features to the way that the game plays and some of the different areas that the players will be able to place their workers and stuff. They'll add a little bit of variety. They also have the forts now where you'll be able to go and get bonus tokens that'll multiply and manipulate your points at the end of the game, as well as being able to buy the point cards from there just like any other Century game that'll get you points at the end of the game. But also, like I said, has bonuses now that will also add different things throughout the game to add some more strategy and depth. But of course, these are just my thoughts and opinions on the game. Let me know in the comments below if this is one that you've picked up or looking to pick up, and if you're a fan of some of the older games as well. Now, with this video, I'm just going to be teaching this new game, the New World. I'm not going to cover any of the other games caught or being able to be added to it in that. So if that is something you guys would like to see, let me know in those comments below. Otherwise, I'm not going to look at covering it, but if I get enough feedback on that, I will look at trying to cover those. I'll reach out to Plan B and see if that's something that they would like to do. So let me know in those comments below if that's something you guys are looking at or would be interested in me covering as well. And I'll also have a link up in the corner that will link you to one of my older videos that I did for the Gollum edition. So if you have that and are looking to learn how to play that one as well, you can check that video out and I'll teach you how to play that one as well for now. And like I said, if you guys are interested in some of the other games, let me know and I'll look at covering those as well. So as always, if you enjoy these videos, if you like what I do, please consider that like button and subscribing to my channel, as it really does make a big difference and helps me to continue to grow and be able to bring these games to you guys and teach you how to play them. If you want to stay up to date on all my videos, also consider ringing the bell so you get notifications anytime I release new content. So let's go ahead and head to the table and I'll teach you guys how to play. Let me start by breaking down the point cards. So there's going to be 4 different icons in the top corners here, which are Native Help, Tools, Settlers, and Exploration. And this will be significant in the scoring step at the end of the game, as players are going to try to collect certain symbols based on the bonus tokens that they have. Then on the other side here is the rewards that player will receive when purchasing that card. Some of these rewards are one time only, and some of them will last through the rest of the game. So with this one here, you would gain an exploration token of your choice. This one would add 2 settlers to your area. This one over here, every time you go into a location with that symbol, you would get a corn resource. And with this one, every time you go into a location with that symbol in the circle, it would cost you 1 less settler. At the bottom of the card are the number of victory points that card is worth at the end of the game for the player that has that in their pile. And then at the bottom underneath that is the resources that are required to acquire that card. So with this one, you'd have to spend 3 tobacco cubes in order to get this card. Some of the cards are also going to have black or white stars on them, and that will be used based on the game that you've chosen to play, as this is a collection of games. You can play different centuries with these cards, and so those will be significant for those. On the other side are numbers on some of the cards again, and that is going to be based on the player count. So if you're playing a 2-player game, you would remove all of the 3 and 4 cards. If you're playing a 3-player game, you'd remove all the 4s, and if you're playing 4, you would keep all of the cards in there, unless there are other stipulations based on the setup. Just like in all the different Century games, there are going to be 4 different resources, which are corn, meat, tobacco, and fur. And this is the ascending order as well. So corn is the least valuable, with fur being the most valuable. And as you upgrade tokens, this is the upgrade value as well. So yellow would become red, red would become green, and green would become brown when you upgrade. And I'll go into more detail about that a little bit later. The other important thing is that the cubes are not limited, so if you run out of green cubes and somebody needs tobacco, you can use something else to represent that as well. Moving over to the game boards, there are going to be 6 included in the game, and these are going to be double-sided, and each one of the boards is going to have a letter and a number in the bottom corner, which will help during setup, and based on the different Century games that you're playing and the combination of them. Then we're going to have a number of different pieces of information on each of the boards. Some of the boards that are on the top will have the spots for the bonus tiles to be placed, as well as the point cards, which will go up top above there, which I'll show you during setup. Each of the tiles or each of these locations is also going to have circles in it, which are going to correspond to the player's point cards that they have, gaining certain bonuses or reductions in the cost of the settlers that'll have to go there. Each location is also going to have a number and a little picture of a meeple, which is the number of settlers you have to place in that location to gain the benefits of whatever that is. And there are 3 different types of benefits the players can get. There are production ones, so by placing a settler in here, you would receive 1 meat cube. Then we have the upgrade ones, where you'll be able to upgrade your cubes. So with this one, you can upgrade 3 cubes 1 level, or upgrade 1 cube up to 3 levels. And you can do any combination of there. So you could upgrade 1 cube 2 levels and then another cube 1 level, as long as you don't go over what the requirements are. And I'll show you that in a minute. Then we also have the trade locations, where you would, for the example of this one, you trade in a fur and then you receive a corn, meat, and tobacco cube in exchange. Finally, on the side, on some of the locations, you'll notice these exploration tokens. And at the beginning of the game during setup, those will be placed out on those locations at random until a player has purchased a exploration point card. Then these are places that are locked, so no player can go in there as long as a token is on the side of that location. Once somebody removes a token from that location, gaining that token for themselves, then this location is opened up and then any player can go in there to use whatever benefits are on that location. And then with the exploration tokens, there are going to be 4 different types as well. We have resource tokens, where you'll gain those resource cubes. You'll have the different images, and those will add at the end of the game. We have bonus points will be added at the end of the game, and then the settler ones, where you'll gain a number of settlers right away that you'll add to your board. Finally, going over the bonus tokens, which will be up on the top here. When players place a meeple in there, they can also choose to gain the top bonus token, and these are also going to be used at the end of the game to gain experience or gain victory points based on the images that they have. Or for example, this one, for every 2 settlers you have, you'll gain 1. If you have 2 of the native help cards, for every 2 you have, you'll get 3 points, and that works the same with all of them. To start setup, you can lay out the game board if you've purchased one. Otherwise, you can just do this any way you want to as well. From there, then you're going to grab the playing boards with the letters A through C on them, and then randomly choose one of the other ones, D, E, or F, and these are all 1s. So we'll go with E. From there, then you're going to place A out in the top corner, followed by B, and then C1 will be down here, and then your randomly selected one will go there. Next, we're going to go ahead and do the point cards. So first off with these, you're going to separate all of the ones that have the white star in the corner. Then, based on the number of players that are playing, you will also remove the equals 4 or plus 3 if you're playing with less than 4 players or 3 players. As I'm going to set up for a 3-player game, I'm going to remove all of the equals 4 cards. These can be returned to the box, as you will not use them for this game. And then the rest of the cards can be shuffled up. Once you have them shuffled up, then you'll deal out 1 across the top of each spot, or above each one of those, if you're not playing with the board. And then the rest of the deck will be placed face up next to that. From there, go ahead and grab the bonus tiles, and again, you're going to take out all of the ones that are marked with the 3 in the bottom corner, as well as all of the ones that have a 1 in the bottom corner. This should leave you with 17 bonus tiles, and you can go ahead and shuffle these bonus tiles up. The other ones will be returned to the box as you won't use those. And then above each area, there's going to be a number in there, and that's the number of bonus tiles you'll place in there face up. So our starting area over there will have 4 tiles. So we'll do that, and then 3. Any tiles you have remaining can be returned to the box as well, as you will not use those for this game. Next, go ahead and grab the exploration tiles, shuffle them up, and then place each one face up in the spots that have a picture of them. Finally, if you're playing in a 2 or 3 player game, also place exploration tokens on the 2-3 spots. If you're playing a 4 player game, leave those 2 spots open and return any unused exploration tokens to the box, which you should have 2. Finally, go ahead and separate each one of the cubes and place them in their own little bucket, and then place those on the side in ascending order, starting with corn, then meat, followed by tobacco, and at the top will be fur, or yellow, red, green, and brown. From there, we're ready to move into player setup. So again, you're going to grab the player boards with the A side up, and then you're going to select a number of those based on the number of players. Like I said, we're going to set up with a 3-player game. So you have to include the board that has the little circle, as you guys can see here, and then you'll grab the number of boards that you'll need. So we'll have 3 boards. We're going to go ahead and shuffle these up and randomly deal this out to each of the players. The player that gets the one that has the circle on it will be the starting player. Each player is also going to choose a color they want to be and receive 12 meeples for that color. 6 of those meeples will go on the player board, and 6 will go on the side in reserve. These will not be available to the players, and they must unlock those later in the game. If you're playing with a 2-player game, then each player will start with 7 settlers. From there, then we're ready to move on to the final step, where each player is going to get a number of resources. So starting with the first player, the player that has the marker in the bottom corner, he will receive 3 corn cubes in his starting resources. Then proceeding around the table in a clockwise manner, the next player will receive 4 yellow cubes. The third player would also receive 4. And if your game has included a 4th player, then he would receive 3 yellow and 1 red. From there, we're ready to start the game with our first player. Century New World is played over an undefined number of rounds. Each round will start with the first player and proceed in a clockwise manner, with each player getting to take a turn. During each player's turn, they must perform 1 action out of a selection of 2 different actions, and this will continue until the one player has claimed 8 point cards. At that point, that will trigger the end of the game, and the players will resolve the rest of that round so that all players have had equal number of turns. At that point, then you'd move into a scoring step, and the player that has the most points at the end of that will be the overall winner of the game. The game will start with the first player and proceed in a clockwise manner around the table. During each player's turn, they get to perform 1 action out of 2 actions, which is to rest or work. If a player chooses to rest, they will regain all of the settlers that they have placed out on the board currently back onto their player board. If they choose to work, then they're going to choose one of the locations out on the board that they want to place settlers. Now there's 2 exceptions to this. A player can never place settlers on a location that they currently have settlers on, and they cannot choose to place settlers on a location that has an exploration token. Now once that token has been removed and claimed, then that location is open and a player can place their workers there. And there are 4 different locations a player can place their settlers: production, upgrade, trade, and fort locations. And I'm going to take you through each one of these in detail so you see how they can work. Production locations are not going to have any arrows going up or down on them, and each one of the locations is going to show 1 or more resources. And when you place the number of settlers in that location equal to its value here, you'll gain that resource. So for example, with the pink player, if she chooses to go here and place 2 settlers there, she will gain a tobacco resource that she'll add to her player board. An upgrade location will have a gray arrow going up and will show a number of gray cubes, and that is the number of cubes you can upgrade. From the cubes that you have in your resources, you can upgrade 2 cubes in this example, 1 level, or you can upgrade 1 cube up to 2 levels. So for example, with this one, if we want to upgrade a corn, we can upgrade 1 corn to a meat, and then we can choose to do another corn to a meat, or we can upgrade the meat to a tobacco. It is our choice. Now, there are going to be other locations that may have more cubes that you can upgrade additional spaces. By placing settlers in a trade location, which is any location with the down purple arrow, you can trade any resources you have in your storage with resources from the supply. So let's take a look at an example of this. Let's say that we take one settler and place them in there, meeting that requirement. We can trade 3 corn that is in our storage with 3 meat from the supply, placing those in our storage. We can do this any number of times as long as we meet the requirements of the trade. So if we had 3 more corn, we could trade them for 3 more meat. And the final location we have are the fort locations, which there are going to be 4 of them on the top of the board. Each of these locations, again, when you place settlers there, you'll have 2 options. You can collect a bonus token from one of the stacks. If there are multiple stacks, you will choose one of those and take the top bonus token and add it to your bonus area, as long as there's an open space. If all 3 of your bonus areas are full, you cannot choose to take another bonus token. The other option you have is to buy a point card above that location, as long as you have the resources that are listed on that card. Now you can choose to do both as well. You can take a bonus token and buy the card above that location. Or you can just buy the card. You do not have to take a bonus token. It is up to you how you want to do it. Now that we know how the locations work, we're ready to move back into the game with our first player taking their turn. So again, during their turn, they can choose to either work or rest. So our player is going to work, and so they're going to choose a location out on the board that they want to place their settlers. So our player over here is going to take 3 settlers and place them over here to gain a fur. So we'll add that to their supply or their storage, and then we're ready to move on to the next player. So our player over here is going to take the next turn, and again, they get to choose whether they want to work or rest. And so they're going to work, and then they would choose a location out there. Now they can also choose a location that another player's settlers are on. In order to oust that player's settlers, they have to put a number of settlers in there equaling that player's settlers plus 1. So in order for our black player to oust the pink player, they have to place 4 settlers in there, and then the pink player's settlers will be returned to their board. And then our black player would receive a fur token. From there, we move over to the next player. So our blue player over here is going to go, and they're going to upgrade 2 of their tokens to red. So they'll get 2 meat. And then it would move back over to the pink player. And this is going to continue going from player to player until the end of the game, where one player has 8 point cards. So let me take you through some more turns so you can see how the game plays out. So we're going to go ahead and start with our pink player again. So she's going to go ahead and place 2 over here to gain this green. Then we'll move over to our black player, who is going to place 1 in here and gain a red. Moving over to our blue player, he is going to oust our pink player, so he'll have to place 3 guys in there. And then he will gain a green. Moving back over to our pink player, she's going to oust the blue player to upgrade. So she's going to upgrade her green to a fur, and we'll do a yellow to a meat. Moving over to our black player, he's going to go ahead and rest, and so he will gain all of his settlers back. Moving over to the blue player, he is going to go ahead and place his 3 guys up here, and he will gain this location. So he's going to have to spend a corn, a meat, and a tobacco to gain that location. When you gain a location, you'll place it on the side of your board, and then the next all the other locations will shift over to the left, opening up the last location where a new card will be moved over. Now this will bring up a key point. As the game goes on and players get point cards, each one of the cards is going to have a benefit that is either going to be a single time use or a permanent effect that will help the player throughout the rest of the game. There are 4 different symbols for this, so let's go ahead and start with this card over here. So as you guys can see on the top of that card is going to list a circle, which is going to show the meat, and a plus red cube, which means every single time you go into a location that has the little circle meat sign, you're going to gain a red cube before resolving that location. So moving over to the next card, the native help cards, as you can see, those will also have a circle that's depicted, and anytime you choose a location that has that circle in it, you get to reduce the number of settlers you place in there by 1, down to a minimum of 1. So if our blue player had this card and he chose this location and there was no other player in that location, it would reduce that cost by 1, so he could place 1 settler in there and gain the benefits of that location instead of placing 2. And this is cumulative, so if you have multiple cards that benefit a certain location, then you get to reduce them by that number. The next card over here is the exploration card, and anytime a player buys that, they will get to take one of the exploration tokens from the board and add it to their area. And these work the same way. Some of these will have instant effects where you'll gain resources, or you get to add another settler in your reserve, or you get to have a token or bonus points at the end of the game. The final card we have are the new settler cards, and these will let you add settlers from your reserve over to your playing area so you can gain more settlers. The one other important thing with this is as players collect these locations that reduce their costs, then you'll have situations where you may have fewer settlers in a location than is required, and when players oust players in those locations, it's going to be based on the meeples that are in the location and not the number that is printed on the location. So for example, with our blue player there, since he has this card, let's say he used it in this location, he only has 2 meeples in there. So if pink wants to oust him, she would have to place 3 meeples in there and not 4 because of the location itself. It's based on the meeples that are in there. Again, the game is going to end when one player has 8 of the point cards. At that point, depending upon which player it is, that will end the game. So for example, if our pink player was the player that collected the 8th point card, then the other 2 players would get to take their turns and finish the round. That way, then all players have had an equal number of turns. But with blue, if blue was the player that triggered it, he is the last player in the round, and so the round would be over and the game would be over at that point, and we'd be ready to move into scoring. There are 4 steps to scoring. So first off, you're going to gather up all of your point cards and total up the number at the bottom of each card. So we have 6, another 5 for 11, 7 for 18, 22, 27, 33, 38, 42 points from our point cards. Then you're going to total up all of the bonus tiles. So we get 3 points for this one right away, so we'll flip that over, and so we're up to 45. Then we get 2 points for each of those symbols that we have on our point cards. So we have 1 there, so that's 47. And there's 49 and 51 points. Plus we also have an exploration token with that on there. That's 53 points total. And then we'll flip this over. Next, then we have our tile here, which every pair of these on our point cards that we have will get us bonus points. So there's 1 set, so that'll be 56. And then we have a second set here for 59 points. So we'll flip that over. Then we get points for any of our exploration tokens that apply. So this one does not do us any points, and this one will give us 3 more, so that's 62. And then the final thing we'll total up are our reserve points. So we eliminate the yellow ones as they don't get us any points, but any non-yellow one will get us 1 point each. So we have 5 additional points. So we finish off the game with 67 points. Each player is going to total up their own point score, and the player that has the highest points will be the overall winner of the game. Well, I hope you guys found that video helpful. As always, if you have any questions or comments, please leave those in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to answer them. Swing by my Facebook and Twitter accounts. Let me know what you guys are playing or doing. If there's any games you want me to cover, I'd love to start a conversation with you. As always, thank you so much for taking the time to watch my videos and leave me feedback on them. I do really appreciate it, and I take into account everything you guys say to try to make the best possible videos. And if you enjoy these videos, if you like what I do, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to my channel, as it really does make a big difference and helps me continue to grow and be able to bring these videos to you guys. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.